to doTERRA some many years ago by a dear friend of hers, by Betty Torres, with a book and the introductory trio. And Betty knew that Dr. Lori was an avid reader. So in addition to the trio, she shared the book. Now, knowing who your prospects are makes a big difference. And would we give a trio to everyone? Probably not. But Betty knew that Dr. Lori would gain and benefit from this. So that's how she got started. And then Trey is Dr. Lori's stepson, and he's going to be very much active and part of tonight's class, sharing navigating the spectrum.
Thank you, Sandy. Can you hear me good?
I can. You sound wonderful.
Yes, go back to the first slide for just a second. I chose this picture of Trey. I'll tell you why. He's sitting in front of a culvert, but with that little snow above his head. Don't you think that looks like a doTERRA O? So I thought that was a great photo. Okay, now next. Okay, Trey, you want to talk about this one for a minute?
Yep. So my story does start with my birth mom, Sophia, and this is a picture with her on my birthday, last year?
Yeah.
2 years ago?
Last year.
And I got a little story. So we didn't really do anything since I was very, very little, since I was about 4 years old. And soon after this, or it was earlier that year? Yeah, earlier that year, we went down to Florida to go meet my grandpa for the very first time. This is the first time I've ever seen anyone on that side of the family, so this was quite the bit of an adventure. So me and her went down to Tar Pond, Florida, and that's where my grandpa lives and whatnot. And it was pretty interesting meeting him. He had a Greek accent. He was born in Greece. That's where he was from and whatnot. So we went all over Florida and whatnot. So and we went to like all different kinds of restaurants. And my grandpa's full-blooded Greek, and my mom's full-blooded Greek, and I'm half Greek. We went everywhere. We went to all kinds of restaurants, and he showed me off to his friends. He's like, "Look at my tall, tall grandson," and I can't really do a Greek accent, but that's what he would use. We went down to all these different. Got that moment? Yeah. We went down to all of these different beaches. We went down to the sea, and like because it's so like shallow, it was like super super hot. So we just went all over the place down there. It was really nice to get to know that side of the family and also get to know my grandpa and whatnot. I found out a little bit more about my mom because I didn't really know anything about her at the time. I figured out that she has a lot of trauma from when she was younger. So mostly with her mom and on instead of her dad. So she's doing well now. She has a husband. So I'm very, very happy for her. His name is Tracy. So
next, very good, Trey.
So this is my core family right here. That's my dad on the left. That's me in the middle with my fluffy hair and whatnot. And then there's my grandma, and then there's my mom. So yeah, this is they accept me and who I am, and they encourage me to take care of my health in order to live my best life.
Next.
Autism doesn't come with a manual. It comes with a parent that never gives up.
And I want to add to that some autistic children are in institutions or are being taken care of relatives. We know a couple of people even here in our town that are taking care of nieces and nephews that are severely autistic. And so we want to give kudos to everyone that is loving on an autistic child or people that are on the spectrum and giving them the support that they need. Go ahead and say that part too, honey.
This presentation is for educational purposes only. Suggestions offered for supporting good health are not substitutes for medical advice as needed.
Next.
Navigating the spectrum. My purpose for creating this presentation is to increase the awareness of what being on the spectrum means. By sharing some of my story, I hope to educate and inspire people to confidently use natural solutions to support their health.
Next.
Okay, so a little bit of an embarrassing photo, a little. So when I was 4, my life took a new direction. I met my mom right here, Lori Langfit in Idaho in January 2010. I started on homeopathic remedies and supplements. And around that time, I wet the bed. And again, I was little at the time. So what my mom did, she used a homeopathic remedy, and it was this little spritz from what I remember, and she would spray it into my mouth. And that night, I didn't pee the bed. So
And we were shocked.
it was a bit of a surprise, especially
What is this stuff?
I didn't realize something could work so well. She started me on doTERRA products in her office on me in Alaska, January 2011. And around that time, I was in a school and in kindergarten, and I had breathing difficulties, where I couldn't go outside of the school ground without help if it was very, very cold out. And so my mom, being a little bit of a health nerd, figured she got into doTERRA around this time, and she used an oil called Breathe, as you can see here, and she would put it underneath my nose, and it would like sting a little bit.
Before we knew to dilute, not to.
Yeah, this is straight on my face, and it stung. You know.
Thank goodness it comes in a roller bottle.
Oh yeah, don't have to deal with the stinging. But that helped me not have like any attacks or any breathing difficulty being out in the cold and whatnot. Yeah. What else, Mom?
What's the bedtime routine when you have that?
Oh, yeah. So again, around that time I was little. Mom, my mom right here, would put me to bed, and what was I, 5 at the time?
Yep.
And after she started using Breathe on me and whatnot.
Wait, so I tried to put you to bed, and you'd say, "Where's my dad?"
Yeah, yeah. So when she put me to bed, I would go, "Where's my dad?" And she started using oils on me and whatnot. So when my dad put me to bed, I go, "Where's my mom?"
So it caused a really good connection with us, didn't it?
Yep.
Healing in lots of ways. Okay, next. Very good, son.
Okay. You want to go on this one just a little?
Yeah, when Trey was 4 was when I first started taking care of him, and all throughout being 5 in kindergarten, he had something called cyclic vomiting. And you can see by this slide here, it's recurrent or cyclic episodes of severe nausea and vomiting. Can occur at any age, more common and severe in children. Literally, he would throw up sometimes for 4 hours at a time and would have dry heaves. And so the doctor told me he had cyclic vomiting, and they really don't have much to offer you for that. Sometimes they want to do exploratory surgery if they don't know a lot about it, nausea meds. But I would have to come pick him up at birthday parties sometimes or at school. And it was nearly every day he'd vomit a lot, but at least a couple days a week vomiting for hours. Next.
And the oil.
Second oil we started.
The second oil that helped me the most was Digozen. And yeah, that was put on my lower stomach and whatnot, and they'd have to watch me almost. Mom and Dad would have to take turns watching me as I would stay up, sometimes all night, dry heaving or puking. But Digozen was kind of what helped with my stomach and pretty much.
Well, the first thing it did is instead of vomiting for 4 hours, it would be about an hour. And then after a couple of weeks, instead of an hour, it would be 10, 15 minutes. And then pretty soon it wasn't at all. And this one also helps you fantastic, doesn't it, with car sickness?
Mm-hmm.
We keep some in the back pockets of the front car seats for kids in the back, or we put it on before going on a trip.
I had car sickness when I was younger.
Yeah. And another thing we have used this for is diluted rubbed behind people's ears for vertigo. So it's pretty tricky thing there. Also, we've used it for muscle cramping, like it's pretty amazing. All the different things we've used DigestZen for. Next. All right, Trey, you want to go through these levels? Just read it
Yep.
like that.
So level one, there's 3 different types of levels of autism. The first one requires support. Level 2 requires substantial support, and level 3 requires very substantial support.
So this is what is confusing to people that don't know very much about autism, and they can ask rude questions and not realize it. Like, oh, are you high functioning autism? Or, so it's kind of confusing. Well, what does that mean? And sometimes I think people asking that don't know either. So we'll kind of cover where some of that comes from. But basically, all this means is how much support do they need? So we have Trey and Ryder in our home that are both autistic, that are level 2, so they require substantial support. Ryder more than Trey. Trey requires just like some co-regulation. He's going to have some more training with his tutor, Patty Howell. Big shout out to her. We just love and adore her with executive functioning and some things like that. I think it's interesting, Dr. Amen, that some of you may be familiar with, that speaks about ADD and ADHD. He doesn't believe we should send our kids off to college till they're 25 because the brain is not fully developed, frontal lobe and so forth sets in. So we make sure Trey knows he's okay just right where he's at right now. He's an avid learner. And so next. Trey hasn't seen this movie yet. I've been wanting him to watch it with me, but anybody that's, I'd say 30 and older has seen the movie Rain Man. And this is where a lot of people get the perception of what autism is, the card counting. He had to kind of go get his brother out of a place, very odd acting. And so some people think of that part with autism. She's okay, Ryder. Other people think of the ones that are completely debilitated. And there's a wide range, and we'll talk about what the spectrum means. Another thing that Trey would do is he would cry a little bit out of frustration that I just can't learn, I can't memorize, I can't do this. And I would try to think of ways, son, your brain is just different. Who cares? A lot of people can't memorize. And a lot of people memorize things and take a test and then they don't know it later. Don't worry about that. Let's figure out how your brain works. So I discovered a movie. Go ahead, next. Trey, you want to talk about this movie for a little bit?
A little bit. So there's this movie called August Rush, and okay. So I watched August Rush a few times when I was little with my parents, and a few times, and it inspired me and it helped me understand that I have like a different brain.
And that's okay, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't seen that movie, it's actually a beautiful movie. You guys would really love it. Next. All right, this here is just a good graphic of the spectrum. So every single one of us listening, probably every person in the world, we're on this spectrum somewhere. Every single person has something going on with their brain where they feel like they could be sharper or need a little bit of help, or they know they're gifted in a certain area. So think of the spectrum. They've included more than just autism on the spectrum and a spectrum for autism. So next slide. So neurodiversity is a social justice movement and umbrella term that describes the range of ways people's brains process information and interact with the world. It recognizes neurological conditions like ADHD, Tourette syndrome, as strengths that contribute to human brain diversity. The term was coined by Australian sociologist Judy Singer to promote inclusion and equality for neurological minorities. Next. All right, so this one here, when Trey was 5, his kindergarten teacher noticed he was having a hard time the way he interacted with kids in the class. Very, very outgoing when he was little, but just really having a hard time navigating certain things in the classroom. So for instance, they'd done a bunch of painting on the floor. Trey stands up and walks across the room to get something and walks all across other people's paintings, not even realizing, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. So a medical doctor took one look at Trey and flat out said, I can look at him instantly and tell he's got fetal alcohol syndrome. And that was okay, say that. I'm open to your opinion. But then she started in on, we needed to do surgeries and he needed to go into this program that was like 60,000. He needed to be put on this medication. And I was like, whoa, 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 wait, wait, wait. Next. Here's what Trey looked like at 2 or 3. Doesn't he? I think he looks like a little orangutan. Isn't he so cute? So when you look at there, you can see the thin upper lip. You can see the stuff around the eyes. And so you could see where she would come with some of that. It's kind of obvious. But this one stressful encounter with that certain medical doctor sent me into research mode as I wasn't about to do the thing she was recommending. It's okay to trust your intuition and to seek out more than one opinion. Next. All right, this is Trey's spectrum wheel. You can take a quiz for free online, and there's different ones, but this one here, this reflects Trey today. He has some fixations, has a little bit of abnormal flat speech. We'll go into that a little bit. Noise sensitivity, social difficulty, anxiety. The abnormal posture, he doesn't really have that now. It was more when he was younger. Poor eye contact only if he's feeling threatened or uncomfortable or is around aggression. Tics and fidgets, no tics, but it's definitely a fidgeter, aren't you, Trey? Aggression, very, very low on aggression. Next. Okay, Trey, do you want to talk about, let's see, we took you to a place called Brain Balance. We figured out all kinds of stuff about right brain, left brain, or both. We're going to be talking about that on a few slides. Go ahead and go next. All right, Trey, right side weak. Would you read all of these? And the only one you didn't have was poor eye contact. So go ahead and read those.
So we have awkward and clumsy, hyperactive, anxious, poor nonverbal skills, impulsive, lack of focus, poor reading comprehension, obsessive, repetitive behavior, immature social skills, allergies, autoimmunity, lack of interest in sports, misses the big picture, poor eye contact, and space invader.
So by space invader, you'd stand right next to people or you say, hey, 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 and not know when to not interrupt and different things. Again, though, you did have good eye contact. And I have an idea why you had good eye contact in spite of all these things. Another thing I think is interesting with this list, Trey, a lot of autistic kids do what's called stemming. And so they'll flap their hands or they'll make repetitive motions, but a lot of people don't know that you can stem. Like, what did you do for stemming?
I either sang the same song or like the same lyric of a song over and over and over and over and over, or I would just be humming like a constant tune all the time.
So since then, we know that stemming is actually a way for them to just relieve stress. But humming in particular has a frequency that's very healing. Now, as a person that's the caretaker for someone, that drives you a little crazy to hear the same song over and over again, I'd be like, Trey, can't you just learn another song? My goodness, son. But it was pretty adorable. Another thing he would do, he literally would ask you the same question like 50 times in one day. And it didn't help if I tried to redirect him. Trey, what was my answer last time you asked? So about the time I got into doTERRA, I put him on a specific liquid B vitamin that's fermented, and it's the real bees, and it was from Premier Research Labs. And that pretty much got rid of, I'd say, what do you think, Trey, 95% of your obsessive compulsive, and really helped you where you weren't needing that repetitive stemming. So that's just a little side note. Next. Enter Copaiba. Trey, you want to read all the benefits of Copaiba?
Liver and antioxidant support, and proper immune response, digestive support, proper neurological function, and proper respiratory function.
So what happened to you? You didn't mind putting it right in your mouth. It doesn't taste that bad.
Yeah.
And before we started using this, you could read something, even if you're really interested, like Star Wars or tracking animals or hiking stuff. When you'd read, if you're highly interested, you would remember. But if you read anything else, you literally would get an F on almost every paper trying to answer the questions. So you had it seemed like zero comprehension, huh, son? So within a week of taking Copaiba, what happened?
One thing I remember is I started reading a lot. Um, I think Copaiba is the one reason why I got into books and why I started remembering and being able to comprehend all the different books that I read.
So I'm talking within a week, he was reading 5 to 6 books a week for a kid that could barely read. And I'm talking big books. Trey, do you remember some of the series? You did that cat series. What was that?
Warrior Cats and
Warrior Cats. And like, what kind of series are you reading now?
uh, all different kinds. I think I'm on like at least 4 or 5 different series. I'm either waiting for the next book or I'm still ongoing reading them.
So what kind of topics? So they know.
It's either sci-fi or fantasy, usually in there. So it's either space or it's got dragons in it.
Oh, okay. That's pretty simple, huh? All right, so next slide. So everyone in our family uses this oil, including the cats and dogs. It's very safe for your cats and dogs. Copaiba oil particularly is a constituent beta paraphylline, all these fancy words, right, with our oils, has shown potential for supporting brain health by modulating inflammatory responses and reducing anxiety. It may also offer neuroprotective benefits, especially in the case of acute neural damage, could potentially improve cognitive function. Next. All right, Trey, I'll talk on a few slides here now, but don't go too far away, okay? Are you right next to me?
Yep.
This is my main mentor in my life. Some of you in Michigan, Minnesota area might have known him. His name was Dr. Versendahl. I started training with him when I was about 25. And he always taught that ADHD in particular and a lot of psychological issues all had their roots in adrenal health. We get our hormones from our mom in utero. We get training neurologically from the way our parents are emotionally and our environment. And I never forgot that, and I've learned more and more and more throughout the years. Some of that I'll show on this slide. And it's why I'm a little bit obsessed myself about the topic of adrenals. And most of you have heard me speak on that topic. Next. So one of the things that happened when that doctor was rude in the way that she was talking to Trey and I about fetal alcohol syndrome, I started reading and researching, and I wish I would have kept a hold of some material I found. It was by a French doctor, because basically this doctor was telling me that Trey would never be well. He'd never be able to, work and do all kinds of stuff. And the material I read said that maternal bonding is incredibly important with fetal alcohol kids, that a lot of them will quit nursing early because of toxicity in the breast milk. They're getting that toxicity in utero. They're being bombarded. And I wasn't 100% convinced he had fetal alcohol, which, that's either here or there. But this article I read said to make sure and look in their eyes, to stroke their faces. And Trey had a reflex on the side of his face, like, when a baby's nursing and you barely touch the side of the face and they turn real quick towards the boob. Well, Trey had that overdeveloped on one side, and this article talked about that. So she talked about going back and recreating that maternal bonding. So this is the primary reason I do think that Trey did not test for having trouble with the eye contact. Next. So autism and gut-brain connection is documented over and over again. So our microbiota brain-gut axis pathways help the immune system, the vagus nerve system, neuroendocrine system, circulatory system, and the enteric nervous system. Next. So thank goodness I got a hold of this book, Gut and Psychology Syndrome. I believe the author, yes, Natasha Campbell McBride. She lives in the UK and she's like a medical doctor, a nutritionist, and some other degree. Her son became full-blown, shut down, nonverbal autistic after some immunizations. And that has happened with different people that I know and different people I've read about. And I know there's a lot of controversy around that topic. So I'll be very happy with Kennedy makes any progress in figuring out why so many kids nowadays have autism. Next. In this book, I learned how to make homemade sauerkraut. It's very easy to make. So key takeaways on sauerkraut is fermented cabbage condiment. It's rich in probiotics, prebiotics, and nutrients that may benefit your overall gut health. The best time to eat sauerkraut is likely before or during a meal. It's important to make it with other fermented foods, a staple in your diet, reap the gut health benefits. And again, it's very easy to do, and it tastes much, much, much better than the store-bought stuff. It's a little crunchy, it's a little salty. We would just put a little bit here and there. Next. Next, yep, there we go. So what do we have now? If you're not gonna make homemade sauerkraut and eat sauerkraut, we have the PB Restore, healthy metabolism, digestive comfort, microbiome health, and overall wellness. Supports healthy inflammatory response. It's a unique formulation of 30 pre and pro postbiotics and bacteriophages that help restore microbial diversity and balance for optimal microbiome health. I personally take 2 of these at bedtime is when I take them. If you can get a routine and keep it like right where you get ready to go to bed. A lot of people have reported to me that they're having a lot better bowel movements when they do that. So this is one a lot of people in our family here use. Next. So Terrazyme and the PB Restore. So the digestive enzymes help so much with all the different enzymes that are in there. In my line of work, we would used to use digestive enzymes even for like sports injuries and injured muscles and stuff for repair. Terrazyme and digestive enzymes can eat up a lot of debris in your body too, undigested food. And we would put people on it if they have a problem with pus. Our skin, think of that as your 3rd kidney. When we have stuff coming out of our skin, a lot of times we need to clean up our digestive system. Next. Just a fun fact, which food is highest in probiotics? Kefir. So we learned how to make kefir as well. It says according to Zoe, I don't know if that's an AI thing or what. This is just a little snapshot we did off of, Google. While yogurt is well known probiotic source, kefir typically boasts a wider variety of beneficial bacteria. Other excellent sources, of course, yogurt, sauerkraut, kimchi, miso, and some cheeses. Next. So benefits of bone broth, gut healing, detoxifying, supports healthy metabolism, adds immune system function, supports healthy skin. One of our favorite foods is homemade bone broth. And our family is appreciative of the fact that it's easy to eat out and find that food that nourishes you at restaurants that make pho, I think is how we pronounce it. Let's look at the next slide. So the spelling with the hook means noodle soup. It's a Vietnamese soup made of broth, rice noodles, meat, usually beef or chicken, pronounced pho. In Vietnamese, the PH is pronounced like the F in fish, and the O is similar to The tone is slightly rising and falling. Pho. Next. This is what it looks like. It's very delicious. We make this often at home. What we'll do is we'll make the broth and the noodles, and then we'll put the different vegetables and stuff out like on a salad bar, and people can add what they want to in there for the vegetables. Next. And there are no specific tests to diagnose Asperger's syndrome. A doctor or team of health professionals will talk to you and your child and others in your family. They'll observe your child to see if they meet certain criteria for Asperger's syndrome. Trey is off chasing Aria around. I've got a slide with her coming up soon. This is the one Trey most connects with. Trey will just get a deadpan look on his face. When he gets that, you know he's shut down, he's overstimulated, something's going on that he can't handle. So we're going to be taking a class that's by a person that has Asperger, ways that we can help him navigate through that so he knows how to navigate that through that on his own as he moves forward in his life and possibly has a wife and children and a career. So you want to come join me again? Next. I'm sorry, you're doing okay? Mm-hmm. So bone broth is rich in collagen. We just can't say enough about this collagen. I have a couple more slides on this. Promotes healthy biological aging, improves health span, activates longevity genes, improves cognitive function, improves skin elasticity and firmness, Supports lean muscle connective tissue. Trey, you don't really use this one, do you? Did you start using it?
Every now
Once in a while? Might be a good one to,
the Terra Green.
yeah, you like their new powdered greens, huh? So this one here, though, it might be a good thing to put you on with just how much you've been working out and stuff lately, huh?
Yeah,
All right.
that idea.
Next slide. This is a very interesting topic. Sandy, I want to do a class on this because a little known fact is almost all autistic children and a lot of kids that are on the spectrum have high histamine in their blood test. So it makes it difficulty to focus, can be a subtle symptom of histamine overload, plays a role in neurotransmission, and excess can lead to difficulty concentrating, insomnia, anxiety. This happens because histamine can lead to inflammation in the brain. Why is no one talking about this? Also causes cardiovascular issues with your blood vessels. Next. So histamine is another stress factor. It can come from the gut, from mast cell activation. Tools you can do to lower it: vitamin C, L-carnosine, diamine oxidase, L-plantarum, ginger, progesterone, skullcap, quercetin. And here's the 10 reasons to use Tri-Ease. It's very cleansing to the body systems, seasonal environmental elements. We love it for just hay fever and spring stuff, fall too. You can consume it safely on a daily basis during times of seasonal discomfort. Convenient, easy to, when you're traveling. Contains lavender, which is renowned for its calming and balancing effects. Also, a lot of research on it being a natural antihistamine. Non-GMO, each capsule contains lemon, lavender, and peppermint. If you look up natural histamines for essential oils, they will be listed on there as well as diffusing eucalyptus. 1 to 2 soft gels per day needed during times of seasonal discomfort. And when people have severe hay fever, I'll have them take 1 to 2, 2 to 3 times a day. Next. All right, some of you will recognize something like this. Trey, I think you've been to every adrenal class I've ever had, huh, son?
Yeah.
So the parasympathetic and the sympathetic, that has to do with stress activating your dominant nervous system. So introverts throttle down. But when we want to go into parasympathetic, we all need to rest and digest. A lot of us are more in the sympathetic, where we're going full throttle. So dilated pupil, relaxes the bronchial, accelerates the heart, inhibits digestive ability, stimulates glucose release by the liver. It can cause bladder trouble, relaxes the bladder, and can contract the rectum. So next. All right, Trey. So Trey, when he was little, was very extroverted. After he got bullied at school for 2 years before we took him out, he became introverted. I am an ambivert. I am very extroverted, but I need time to read and think and be in nature to be my best as an extrovert. So I can go either way. So as a child, I was very extroverted, but because my dad was a type person, children are to be seen and not heard. He was very angry, had his own issues, and I learned to be more introverted. So again, this can go back and forth. Not everyone needs to be an ambivert, but a lot of people end up becoming an ambivert out of survival sometimes. So Trey, do you want to read this about this introvert with you?
Introverts' nervous system activity sensitive to external stimuli. You prefer quiet areas, avoid being the center of attention.
Louder, Betty. Louder, Trey.
Prefer quiet, avoid being the center of attention, feel drained by social interactions, and struggle with multitasking or chaotic environments.
Next. Just talk a little closer to the computer, maybe. Okay.
This too?
This is still on introverts, yep.
You don't feel the need to share your thoughts often. Introverts can seem distant, even to close friends or relationships. Not personal. We just don't feel the urge to express ourselves constantly unless asked. Social interaction drains us. We conserve energy.
Next.
Introverts love intellectual stimulation, reading, meditating, exploring ideas. We excel in deep thinking activities like research and writing. Mental exploration fulfills us more than social interactions or external validation.
Next. So this one, Trey, the dopamine gives extroverts high risks for socializing. So that's like your dad with his adrenaline junkie and rock climbing and rafting and all things he does. Introverts are sensitive to dopamine, and too much dopamine can lead to overstimulation. So we prefer acetylcholine activated by reading, focusing, thinking. It makes us feel safe and mentally sound. So next. All right, so Trey, I'll talk again for a little bit, son.
Okay.
Want to stay near me?
Yep.
So to medicate for any of these issues of being on the spectrum is a personal decision. But what does Adderall do to the brain? For ADHD, it increases dopamine levels, improves focus and attention, regulates overstimulation, controls impulsivity, improves daily functioning. Non-ADHD creates euphoria, increases wakefulness, elevates stress intolerance, risk of addiction, and does not improve cognitive ability. Next. So effects of Adderall. So it can affect literally the central nervous system, improved attention span, thought problems, withdrawal, sleeping problems, dry mouth, swelling, high blood pressure, shortness of breath, stomach ache, increased heart rate, hives, loss of appetite, constricted blood vessels, numb fingers, nervousness, cold toes, weight loss, impulse control, and slowed growth. So we want to use that carefully. I do think this is a medication that's overused, and I have a couple more slides on this next. Risk of using Adderall: heart problems, increased risk of hypertension, arrhythmia, stroke, abuse and addiction, high potential for dependency and misuse, pregnancy issues, low birth weight, developmental complications, weight loss, malnutrition, unhealthy appetite suppression, insomnia and sleep disturbances, cognitive impairment, stress, sexual dysfunction, decreased libido and erectile dysfunction, gastrointestinal issues, nausea, constipation, stomach pain, mental health issues like anxiety, depression, paranoia, and psychosis. Next. I would highly encourage you to check this lady out, the holistic psychiatrist. In particular, she has a podcast, Beyond Stimulants, a practical and holistic approach to ADHD. Take a screenshot of that with your phone if you can. In this, she talked about, of all things, think about it, the parasympathetic nervous system and the adrenals. So it explains even further what Dr. Versatile has taught us throughout the years. It pertains to what we've been discussing right now. Trey is a peaceful warrior. He's only going to fight if he absolutely has to, but he has learned fighting skills. And he's a scholar. So that scholar is more the introvert and more of the rest and digest. The warrior, again, is more that output, that high energy, the extrovert. So Dr. Versatile taught me about adrenals having to do with ADHD and many other health issues. Next. 6 ways to lower cortisol. Get your sleep, sunlight, eat better, a cold shower for even just a brief time, yoga, meditation, journaling, grounding. And again, many essential oils help you de-stress. Use your favorite one. Lower that cortisol. Next. This MetaPower Mito 2 Max. I talk about this in every single one of my adrenal classes. It's not a stimulant, but it supports mitochondria function. And in all kinds of new research with cancer and with many different health issues, they're finding it has to do with the mitochondria. Take it a step further, what does the mitochondria need? It needs healthy forms of copper storage in our mineral storage system. But there are other nutrients and things that we can do to nourish our mitochondria. This is a very helpful tip on this one. Take before a stressful event. For some people, that's public speaking. I can take a nap before public speaking. I have very little fear of public speaking. That's usually because if I know my topic And I had a very positive experience as a young child in 4-H doing a presentation about horses. So take it also before a workout or when competing in a sports event. Next. 6 reasons to use the essential fatty acids. It promotes heart and circulatory health, supports healthy function of the brain, eyes, and nervous system. It includes a whole fatty acid, EPA and DHA. And it also has wild orange in there. It's so funny. I don't know why I didn't think of it sooner, but our little girls that are 6 and 4 now will chew that capsule and suck out the fish oil because of the wild orange in there. It doesn't have a sweet flavor or anything, but just because of the wild orange. So I'm pretty thrilled to be able to get that fish oil down the littles. They test it for heavy metals. A lot of fish oil you buy at the store has heavy metals in there. You don't want to use it. A lot of fish has heavy metals. So it's made using wild caught fish from the Nordic seas. And at convention, they showed how it's clean, traceable even, and sustainable. And they had a beautiful family on there talking about this particular product. Next. So at every adrenal class, I talk about magnesium. So in summary, magnesium plays a vital role in brain health. And some research says that magnesium supplementation may be beneficial for individuals with ASD, which is the on the autism spectrum disorder, addressing symptoms such as sleep disturbances, hyperactivity, mood dysregulation. However, it's crucial to consult with a healthcare professional to determine if magnesium supplementation is appropriate and to ensure safe and effective use. I will say a lot of medical doctors aren't trained in nutrition, so by healthcare professional, that would be maybe someone more in functional medicine, a chiropractor, someone that's trained in nutrition. You can make your own magnesium oil. I've taught about this on different classes. Just buy this magnesium flakes at your health food store. Take a cup of it and warm it up in a saucepan with a cup of warm water. It instantly turns into kind of an oily substance. You can put a little spray bottle, spray it on the back of your neck. I used to be able to ward off an oncoming migraine. I had migraines for 15 years before I got on the right magnesium. You can also just soak your feet in it. If you don't want to make it, you can buy magnesium sprays and lotions. And so I had that provider. When you put it on your skin, you absorb it immediately into the bloodstream, and you don't have to digest it in your digestive system because many different kinds of magnesium cause people to get loose stools. If you want to have loose stools, if you're constipated, that's okay. But you also don't want to be having accidents when you're walking around at the mall. Okay, next. If you didn't know, the MetaPower Recharge, this is a little chart about comparing it to competitors. So magnesium, sodium, potassium, sugar-free, liposomes, and it has a couple extracts, ginseng, has a MetaPower blend in there, and other extracts. But it has 4 kinds of magnesium: sulfate, L-threonate, which is the best one for the brain in research, citrate, which is not my absolute favorite, but it's not a lot in there, and the chloride, which is like the magnesium salts that I showed you. Next. All right, every home needs these. All 3 of these. If you use the oil or put it on, we use the Serenity stick. We go through those like crazy because the little girls love them. Serenity gel caps. Wonderful things in there to promote just de-stressing and healthy sleep formulas. Next. Make sure to buy organic cold pressed coconut oil. Next, we'll have a couple slides on this. Cooking oil is coming out. People are being more aware of getting rid of seed oils. Coconut oil, olive oil, tallow, and ghee. Those can be with a higher heat. I have figured out that coconut oil is quite a bit more affordable right now than olive oil. So we've been using more coconut oil. After listening to a book again, I listened to it years ago, I started mixing up a dish of the coconut oil with just a little bit of honey, and the little girls and any of us can eat a little bit of that coconut oil every day. Avocado oil, medium heat. Butter is low heat, and don't cook with sunflower, safflower, grapefruit seed, soybean, canola, or nut oils. We probably don't want to consume those, period. Next. So how does this pertain to the brain? Rebalance your brain with cold pressed coconut oil. According to Dr. Bruce Fife, that name, Bruce Fife, you want all of his books. I just saw yesterday, I was not aware of, he has a book out called Stop Autism. I ordered it because I just found out about it yesterday. But the coconut oil is good for everybody's brain. I even put it in my mom's food and stuff that has had a stroke. The key is found in coconut ketones. He's got a book about oil pulling, how to pull the coconut oil back and forth in your mouth and what it does to your teeth and your microbiome and stuff like that. Next. While a specific percentage isn't precisely established, numerous studies suggest a strong link between MTHFR gene mutations and autism spectrum disorder. Also with ADD, ADHD, depression, many different things on the spectrum. Some research indicates that a significant portion, possibly as high as 98% in some studies of children with ASD, have an MTHFR gene mutation. Next, let me show you why this is important. This is the greens that Trey is telling you that he likes. Trey, what else do you put in your greens? Are you close by, son? Trey takes all three of these products. He orders this particular kit, Foundational Wellness Bundle, every month. He's old enough now to be in doTERRA and has his own account. He mixes the little green powder with a probiotic and a recharge, I believe. When he comes back in, I'll ask him. So I am thrilled to death that doTERRA finally got on the bandwagon with the methylated bees. Trey, would you come tell me what you mix together in your drink, honey? So support for methylation and individuals with the gene variations. Some individuals have genetic variations like MTHFR that can hinder their ability to convert non-methylated B. And an interesting little side note on this one, some doctors that study in this field believe it's coming from the synthetic folic acid that's in our bread and sprayed on our crops, and that we're getting so much of that in our diet that more and more people are having this problem. Hey, what do you mix with your greens? Packet of greens.
I do a scoop of the magnesium powder, and then I do, it's like the strawberry flavored little liquid.
The recharge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So those are the ones you put together?
Yep.
So a magnesium powder, I have him on another magnesium powder because we do a blood test where you check your storage magnesium and Trey's still low. Trey, you do the recharge on a regular basis too?
I try to, yep.
All right, next slide. All right, Trey, do you want to talk about this slide with him for a minute?
Yep. So I'm gonna read it all.
Oh, just talk about like what it's like for your mom to be with in this
yeah.
crazy household.
Yeah, so my mom right here, she has to take care of my grandma, well, your mom.
Yep.
Me, Ryder, Ruby, Journey, and Arya, and the two little ones are already like 5 people on their own.
Yep.
And she's technically 5 kids and mom.
And my dad was here.
And your dad was here.
And died in our house. So we took care of him. And my brother died last fall. And we're taking care of dad's stuff. Like, it's insane, isn't it, son?
Yep.
So Betty says, how do you do it? And I say, well, I really don't know. It absolutely has to be people praying for me. But I started thinking about it. I feel significantly better on the adaptive gel caps. I'll take them in the afternoon, 2, and I'll take 2 at bedtime. When I don't take those, I do feel more reactive and more anxious and more tired. So it promotes positive feelings and encourages relaxation, helps you acclimate to new surroundings and adapting to stressful situations, supports cognitive function and mental well-being, mood boosting, has GABA in there, and GABA reduces mental and physical strain. So if you haven't used this one, I would highly recommend this one from Trey. You don't take that one ever, do you?
No, every now and then.
Next. Because we want to take care of the caretakers too, huh, Trey? So doTERRA Adaptive comes in the oil, and it also comes in a roller bottle now too. And we have those in the car and stuff, don't we, honey? As wild orange, lavender, copaiba, spearmint, magnolia, rosemary, neroli, and sweet gum. sweet, citrusy, floral. Next. All right, this one here at convention, they showed a video on how just diffusing this at bedtime, how much it lowers your cortisol. So I have one of those little diffusers. I think they're called the Bubble. You can charge them and they just sit there. I have it right next to the bed and it'll spit it towards the bed once in a while. So you can massage it into your skin after you exercise. It's for grounding and content throughout the day. You can diffuse it. It's like surrounded. They call it forest bathing, basically. Add 2 drops to the shower floor while you're showering. Add to your moisturizer at night, 2 to 3 drops in Epsom salt bath, temples, back of your neck. Refreshing room spray, add it to diffuser jewelry. It's also to diffuse for a calming aroma while you're working. Next. This is a photograph from one of the views from our house where we live here in Idaho. So we are a family that does forest bathing because we live in the forest. We're river rats, hot spring lovers, outdoor activities, sunshine, and fresh air receivers. Next. I'm going to go into some of the kids right now because, like I said, every single one of us in our family are on the spectrum. Ruby, age 17, appreciates essential oils to tame anxious feelings. This young lady went through a lot taking care of her siblings for a couple years while her mom was going through a hard time. The kid's mom is actually incarcerated right now, and we've been through a lot for the last 2 years. The kid's been living with me for over 2 years. 2 of the kids went to their birth father. So Ruby has been like a mother and a caretaker to all of her siblings. She loves the Clary Calm. Not only does she like the smell, she was having quite a lot of trouble with her menstrual cycle and just a lot of discomfort. And she is a doTERRA user. She uses the Recharge. She could probably teach you a class on oils. But when I asked her which one helps you the most with just anxious feelings, she said definitely the Clary Calm. Next. Betty made this one famous. I traveled with her, and everywhere she went, people following her around, asking her what she had on. But did you know, besides Whisper mixing with your own chemistry for a unique scent, it helps balance your hormones? Men can add other fragrances with it to smell a little bit more manly. I've heard that black pepper with it. It now comes in a roller bottle, but you can use it when you're feeling down or stressed. Apply it to the back of your neck, calming and uplifting. Wrists, pulse points, 5 to 7 drops in an Epsom salt bath. Encourages gentleness, emotional connection, connection to femininity. And I pulled this slide because I'm going to try this. It says Healthy Hormones Layering Blend. Whisper Touch, Clary Calm on top, and Jasmine Touch. You can apply it to abdomen or over the heart to balance hormones. I'm going to try that one soon. Next. Everybody thinks that Ruby is the oldest, but Ryder was actually the firstborn. He is a 2025 high school graduate. He is level 2, which means he needs substantial support. He's very artistic. His last year, he has learned how to control his scripting. Some autistic kids talk in scripting. So like one time he was in trouble with his mom when he was little, and he was about 6, and he made the Spock sign with his hands, and he said, "I come in peace." So a lot of times he will talk to you from little parts of movies, and people, when they're around it, they think he's crazy or they think something's really wrong with him. Like people still aren't used to being able to recognize kids on the spectrum. And I'll just say, Ryder, what movie are you in? And we were at a principal meeting here recently, and he started scripting in the meeting, and it was a very serious meeting, as serious as you possibly can imagine. And I started laughing because the stuff he was saying was appropriate with the time. One of the things he said when he was in there, because we talked about he has difficulty eating healthy food, he said, "Well, what I'm really tired of is Dan making me eat dead stuff that he brings home." It made it sound like we were eating roadkill or something. And basically, in our family, we're hunters. Although he did have Ryder try a taste of squirrel meat, so that was really reaching it for Ryder. So he's trying new things and understands more about consequences of damaging or building your health by what you eat and drink. He was fortunate enough to have his best teacher he's ever had for his entire life, his senior year. And I should have put a picture in here of her because she's been magnificent. Next. By the way, that cartoon on the top of his graduation cap, he drew and then put on there. This is Ryder's, oh, good, there you go, show it. So that's a self-portrait of him. He loves Mario. And so he drew himself as Mario, and we printed it out and cut it out, put it on top of his graduation cap. Next. He can literally just look at his phone and draw cartoons. It's insane. So this is Ryder's present day spectrum wheel. He continues to make improvements in all areas of his life. We hope to find special schooling for him to develop his natural talent in art. So you can see much higher in fixations, depression, aggression, very poor eye contact. A lot of people don't know with autistic kids that have that poor eye contact, do not force them to look at you. People think, oh, they got to learn to have eye contact. It's very uncomfortable for them. You're actually invading their space when you do that. And, you know, respect their boundaries. He continues to make improvements, and we can go on to the next slide. I've got a couple more on here on him, I think. All right, so the story with Ryder, he was about 6 or 7 when I started putting vetiver on him. I read that vetiver was the most researched oil on ADD and ADHD. And believe it or not, even with the extreme behavioral issues he had when he was little, he did not get diagnosed with autism. It was so obvious. He wasn't speaking, he wasn't talking, he would say no, he wouldn't look at you, he was on the floor throwing tantrums. As soon as I put vetiver on him, and one more oil that I'll go over, within the week he started talking by many, many sentences, but you couldn't understand him. But what he did do is he started looking at his speech. Trey, get your cat. We've got a Bengal cat climbing on the computer here. What it did do is he would connect with her and look at her. And then the second oil we used, next slide on him, was balance. And the reason I chose this oil is I read in Dr. Sue Lawton's notes, helps every cell remember how to be perfect. And I thought, well, wow, who doesn't need that? I put those 2 oils on him and he started talking. I mean, talking within just a few days. So obviously we don't know if that's going to work for everyone, but boy, I sure would like every kid that's nonverbal to try the essential oils. Next. Ryder has something called neophobia. It's a persistent, abnormal fear of anything new, including novel objects, spaces, food, chemicals, social situations. The term comes from the Greek word mean neo, new, and phobia is fear. In its milder form, it can manifest as an unwillingness to try new things or break from routine. In children, it's often used to describe a tendency to reject new foods. So Ryder doesn't like the smell of certain foods. He doesn't like the texture of certain foods. He doesn't like the brands of certain foods. And he's drank so much soda that just trying to get him off of that, when you take the foods away from them, those are their comfort foods. They're also addicted to them. So this is his most serious health issue that we've been working on, and we're making progress. He takes the MetaPower B nuts just to help with the sugar craving and his appetite. He will swallow the fish oil capsules. He will also chew on them, but he swallows those. He will use the recharge. He'll use the PB assist. He can swallow the PB restore. And he likes taking the Tri-Ease because he's congested a lot, most likely from all the crap that he eats. It literally has to be a specific brand of pizza. You can't get any other kind of pizza. It has to be cooked almost burnt. He eats seriously about 6 foods. The only real food he will eat are strawberries. And I started teaching him how we got to make sure and get organic strawberries. Teach him about how there's a lot of chemicals on strawberries. Corn is, I taught him how to let's look for the non-GMO. And we're working on adding the Copaiba gel caps and the VMG Plus. Next. I have some more ideas to use on Ryder, so I'll keep you posted on that. Things that pop in my brain, still talking about Ryder a little bit, but you don't need to go backwards, Miss Sandy. Juniper berry is really great for fears. And it's really good for kidneys. And he's drank so much soda, I do worry about his kidneys once in a while. And so I thought about juniper berry for just phobias. And he does like it if I rub oils on him. At graduation, He has had the best day he's had since he's been with us for over 2 years. That morning he was nervous, and I put Adaptive on him and Balance on his chest and neck. And I don't usually put oils on him before we go somewhere. He was so good all day. He stayed at the party we had here at the house all day. He would say, Grandma, it's windy. Can I go inside? I'd say, no, grandson, we need to be out here. This is your party. Grandma, there's a lot of mosquitoes out here. Can I go inside? He was focusing on building this big Lego that his grandpa from Alaska had given him. And we all marveled that that's all it took to just keep him there. And he was out there several hours with us. When he finally could go, boy, he bolted into that house and built his Mario Lego in no time at all. This is beautiful little Aria. She'll be 7 in June. And she has a specific form of PTSD, and it can be a form of acquired neurodivergence. She's very impulsive. If she was tested, she'd probably be ADHD. It's important for healthcare providers and support systems to be aware of those intersections to provide appropriate personalized care for individuals who might be both autistic and dealing with the effects of traumatic events. She literally had someone that threatened to kill her, and we would see that person in our community from time to time. So, and she does have a wonderful counselor that's been thrilled to see the improvement in her. She was like a little bit of a wild animal when we first got her, climbing on the furniture and the coat rack and stuff at the counselor's office. Next, the oil that has been magnificent for her is Vanilla Madagascar. She's scanned for it on my Zyto machine. That's a machine I can scan people on. I have the physicians program. And this one just helps so many of her neurotransmitters and different things. I started just putting a little bit at the base of her throat. And that night, for the first time in many weeks, maybe even months, she did not have horrific nightmares. And even as long as I've used oils, I didn't really think it was the oil. After a couple of weeks, no nightmares, I still was like, wow, what's going on here? I didn't use it on her for a couple nights. We were up most of the night with her with horrific night terrors. So if you know anybody with night terrors and stuff, I've heard that Serenity works fairly well. I'm here to tell you this Madagascar was incredible. She now will put it on her finger and suck on it. She likes to take it before school. She says it helps her have a better day at school. We put it on her at nighttime. We have bottles all over our house near where we sleep. And it's for the oil of literally betrayal, cold, separate, stress, anxious, scarcity, hardened heart, tense, uncomfortable, bitter, separate, disconnected. It's for warm, soft, caring, adapting, welcoming, accepting, secure, euphoric, worthy, gentle, loyal, open-hearted, comforting, tranquil, and honest. If you saw Aria today, you would know that she's that little girl. Next. I found this diffuser recipe, cotton candy, 2 drops of Lang Lang, grapefruit, and vanilla. And we're going to try diffusing that. She has a little diffuser, looks like a funny little unicorn. It also casts lights up onto the ceiling, and you can choose different soothing sounds. And she keeps it near her bed. And I'll turn the sound on, and boy, it makes her go to sleep so much faster. Just that instead of a noise like a fan or music on your phone or whatever, that little diffuser has that. Next. Here's some recipes for Spoil Yourself. And you can just go to Pinterest or just Google and say, you know, recipes for vanilla essential oil. And so there's Embrace Love, Blissful Balance, Floral Love, Something Special, Clary Sage, Grapefruit, Sandalwood, Bergamot, Pure Magic, Passion Citrus, Bergamot. So hopefully you can just take a look at that one. And I encourage you just to look some stuff up too, because it's so much fun, isn't it, everyone, to make up recipes and try different things. Next. This is my little journey. I call her Boo, Boo for beautiful. She's something else. She was at 1.2 on the growth chart when I got her. She'd had a near-death experience. She was having fever and seizures and severe asthma. So of course I used the Breathe stick on her. We diffused Breathe. I put supplements in her bottle. I used like L-lysine and some other supplements that I know of. I love that we can have all the skincare that's non-toxic. She loves the Serenity stick. And what I'm going to do is show you this next one because we had unbelievable progress with this one. Next. I saw on a little video Dr. Hill saying, rub this frankincense stick on children's spines to help them with their nervous system. Within a week of doing this, she no longer complained of her clothing being itchy or just not liking to wear clothes at all. Literally, she's kept her clothes on all week. It's incredible. So I don't know if you have kids with that issue, but it'd be worth a try. And I used the oil on her when she was having her seizures from fever, and she's never had another one. So I love having this little bit of extra support for her nervous system. She literally has sensory issues so bad with her clothes that she doesn't want to go to school because she has to wear clothes. So it's quite interesting. Next. You can teach emotional regulation in a home where you can't teach emotional regulation in a home where emotions aren't welcome. Let them feel it all. That's how they learn to handle it all. Next. This kids collection. We have all of these oils. The one we use the most is actually Brave. Aria is crazy, crazy athletic. The third time she went snowboarding, she rode up on the chairlift and went down the mountain without Dan. Her first baseball game, she hit 3 home runs. The third home run, she lapped all the other players. I'm putting her in a mixed martial arts thing here pretty soon. And she likes the Brave right before a game. She kind of rubs it on her upper belly. So these blends are already diluted, meaning there's a carrier oil right in the bottle. So like Trey, when I burned his nose with the Breathe, now we have the Breathe stick. So the kids can just grab these and use these. I highly recommend everybody has these. Next. Interesting, my dad tested for thinker, and he was overthinking. All right, this is my mama Helen. We call her the Miracle Mama. Trey just loving on her. So my mom, Helen's lived with us since February 2020. She was on a feeding tube when she came to be with us. The doctors didn't think she would ever recover enough to be off the feeding tube because her face and throat was so paralyzed. We have 4 generations of family living under one roof, all of us on the spectrum. And it's quite a blessing for her and for us to have her with us. So I had heard about a lady that was paralyzed for a long time because of Bell's palsy. And the first time she put rose oil on, she had a remarkable improvement within a couple hours. And my mom's a master gardener. So when I went to the hospital, you can go ahead and go to the next slide. She suffered what's known as a catastrophic stroke, severe or massive stroke, serious medical emergency, significant amount of brain tissue is damaged due to disruption to blood flow or brain in the bleed. My mom had AFib is what caused her stroke. It can lead to severe neurological dysfunction, potentially impacting major abilities like movement and communication. Crucial to seek immediate medical attention if you suspect a stroke. So she had that stroke in mid-January. She was in her home for 3 days, almost 4 days before she was taken to the hospital. When I arrived at the hospital, they told me she could die at any moment. And was I sure I wanted to be in the room with her? Next. With what rose oil has done for her, I think we all need this rose oil. So the consequences of a stroke can be severe neurological damage, paralysis, speech difficulties, vision problems, cognitive impairments, long-term disability, permanent damage. It can increase the risk of mortality rate and more strokes. Rose is known as the queen of essential oils. Reduces the appearance of skin imperfection. Her face looks better than before her stroke. I'm talking about all the wrinkles. We unparalyzed, I'd say 95 to 98% of her face and the face droop, her throat, her neck. In a very short time, she was off the feeding tube. They still want her on liquids and different things, but her favorite food is giant cheeseburgers. I do try to make her stuff like egg salad that's really moist and feed her a lot of different moist food, but it's pretty amazing, her recovery. Every time I take her to the doctor, they can't believe it. 2 summers ago, she had severe pneumonia and got put on hospice and graduated off hospice by December. So this coming December is going to be 2 years she's been off hospice. So we diffuse oils, we use the doTERRA products with her. Rose oil has been paramount for her. Next. Of course, I use copaiba and frankincense, but look at frankincense for vision and brain health. So again, this is for everyone on the spectrum. Dan takes this one almost every day. He just drops it right in his mouth. Target brain function, nerve health, vision support, emotional balance. You can do aromatically as well, back of your neck, around your eyes, but not in your eyes. Next. So known as the mother of all antioxidants is glutathione. You might not be able to read a lot on this slide, but glutathione, things associated with the low glutathione levels are all kinds of neurological problems, including schizophrenia, Parkinson's, MS, Huntington's, migraines, bipolar, dementia, Alzheimer's, Lou Gehrig's, ADHD, ADD, cardiovascular, thyroid, pancreatic, inflammatory, all kinds of cancer and the immune system. Next. Guess what helps your body make its own glutathione? All of the citrus oils, in particular the grapefruit. So all of us are pretty much in a glass drinking the citrus oils. Kids, mom, Trey. Trey, I think, drinks. Trey, do you drink mostly grapefruit, honey? Is that your favorite? Studies have shown that autistic children have lower levels of reduced glutathione compared to typically developing children. A crucial antioxidant in the brain, playing key role in protecting against oxidative stress and maintaining neuronal health. Impaired glutathione function has been linked to various brain disorders and cognitive decline. Next. And the citrus oils are all very affordable. This is a book here I would recommend for people. He talks about what you do to the body, you do to the brain. There's one drug that stands above all others in quickly depleting glutathione. Do you know what one drug that is? Acetaminophen, also known as Tylenol or Panadol, more toxic than most prescription drugs. Glutathione is your body's last stand against toxins, inflammation, and free radicals. A deficiency can cause severe mental and physical health issues. So this is Ultramind solution. Fix your broken brain. So I wasn't real thrilled that he's talking about a broken brain because it's not really broken. However, many of us have damaged our brain from concussions. Ryder had a concussion here recently. Different things like in utero, toxins, so many different things in our environment now. So yes, we all need to know more information on taking care of our brain. So I would recommend this book. Next. The most recent book I'm absorbing on the left with the red graphic is called Adrenaline Dominance. The black graphic, you can look for him on YouTube, and it's Dr. Michael Platt. And this book so impressed me that I ordered a progesterone cream and we're all using it, even the littles. Had I known about this, I could have gotten rid of my migraines early on. I just love this little autism thing. Valuable and rare, incredibly strong, useful, many talents. Next. This is just a nice one about the dopamine connection. Rejection sensitivity. A lot of kids with these issues, they feel like people don't like them. I read a study where they think because they have the low dopamine, there isn't enough reward for them in connecting and making friends. So if we could bring up that dopamine level, it might help kids like Trey, especially. That's one of his main things is difficulty making friends. So next. Please understand my child is not misbehaving. My child has autism. Your staring and whispering is not helpful. I'm doing my best to help my child in a situation they have no control over. We saw a kid at the hospital when we took my mom to the hospital. Poor kid was having a meltdown. It was underneath the chairs, and the poor mom was just in tears, and people were not being good. I crawled under the chairs with him and said, "Hey, you want to play on my phone?" Got him out from underneath that chair, sat him down. People were just in awe. And so I have definitely learned some skills with having these kids around me on how can I connect with them? What's going on with them? More awareness is needed for all adults to consider maybe this child is not a naughty child, but an overwhelmed child or is on the spectrum. Next. Trey, where's Trey? Trey wanted to say he's coming. This is a picture of him and his dad. We're getting very close to the end. My dad wishes he would have had the support that I have had for addressing learning styles and brain health. He's learning now. ADHD people often are adrenaline junkies or use substances to calm their brain. They are low on dopamine and crave things that help them feel better by getting a dopamine hit. Next. How alcohol affects the brain. Drinking messes up the part of your brain that helps you think and make decisions. So if you're already having trouble with the prefrontal lobe, you're going to have more trouble making decisions. Low reaction time. Protect your brain. Not drinking keeps your brain healthy. Alcohol can harm brain cells and stop new ones from growing. It's best to avoid for your brain's sake. For your mood, alcohol can make you feel down or anxious because it affects the part of your brain that controls emotions, memory, and learning. So remember, what you do to the body, you do to the brain. Seek help to address addictions. Learn about essential oils for soothing anxious feelings and cravings. Next. This is the thing that Dan likes the best for helping him. He's working on no drinking whatsoever. He wants to get alcohol completely out of his life. When he's on the collagen in particular, he has more energy, focus, stamina. Dr. Bersendahl always taught that all addiction has to do with the sugar craving, your metabolism, and the way your body uses glucose and sugar in the body. So another awesome use for this MetaPower. Dan is 6'3". When he goes off of it, he aches and hurts because he's really used his body hard. He's had some construction injuries. We can't recommend this whole program enough. Next. Okay, Trey wanted to say some words because we have Father's Day coming up. Dan now he gets teased by Ruby. You're a girl dad now. He has 3 girls and 2 boys, 5 kids, my mom and me, all to look after. Protect all children, even if they are not yours. Dan Conrad, Dad to Trey, Papa Honey to the littles, Papa to Ruby, just Dan to Ryder. Okay, Trey, make sure you speak up so they can hear you.
Alrighty. So one thing that me and my dad do every year, right around Father's Day, is we go hiking. And we used to go hike a lot, and we used to travel a lot before COVID happened. Whatnot, when we do our classes and whatnot. So on Father's Day, hopefully we're going to go up in the middle of the mountains and go see the lake, go fish and whatnot. But I have something that I would personally like to say for my dad is I'm really proud of him recently because he's learning new skills for himself, being able to connect even better with all of us and our family.
And that's hard to do, huh, Trey, when your dad's kind of shut down emotionally, but it's amazing to be learning these skills, huh?
Yep.
All right, next. Faith doesn't always take you out of the problem. Faith takes you through the problem. Faith doesn't always take away the pain. Faith gives you the ability to handle the pain. Faith doesn't always take you out of the storm. Faith calms you in the midst of the storm. Amen. And it also reminds me of how in biblical times they use so many essential oils. So yes, use the oils to help you bring up your vibration and soothe all the hardships that we go through in life and to enhance the joy. And I think we have 1 slide left, and I have a story that goes with that slide. Let's take a look. 1 slide left, Sandy. Here's my gorgeous Trey. I wanted to end with a beautiful story about him. Trey got bullied at school for a couple of years. We were in there several times trying to get help for him. We finally, after he got punched in PE and was laying on the ground and no one did anything, we went in and took him out because it was affecting his self-esteem. It affected his self-esteem so badly that the next year he had a bad teacher in 4th grade. In 5th grade, he said, hey, Mrs. So-and-so, I won't use her name, she likes me now. And I was like, well, why do you think, what's different, Trey? And he said, well, probably because I'm not in her class. And that just stabbed me right in the heart. It's so important, like Ryder's teacher, it's her 1st year teaching, but she connected with Ryder on an emotional level. And he knows that she cares for him. And Ryder has just grown in all ways. And as we were in the principal's office at the last time, the principal was part of the problem at that school. And he was kind of treating Trey like he was making up things. And so he asked Trey, all right, Trey, well, who's the top bully? So Trey gets out a piece of paper and he writes down the top bully, the second bully, the third. He writes down every person in his class all the way to the least. And he says, Trey, where are you on this list? He goes, well, I'm somewhere right in the middle, and all these kids below me aren't going to have me now. Would you please do something to change the school and help all these kids? As we're getting ready to leave, we stood up. Trey looked him right in the eye, and this is what Trey said. And I thought the guy was going to fall over. Those who are at war with others are not at peace with themselves. William Hazlitt. So that's my boy. Right, Betty? He's so soulful and connective. He sees things that other people don't see. He's just very brave and kind. And I'm so proud of him. Trey, I hope everybody enjoyed their presentation. Trey still needs a lot of co-regulation. That's what we're doing today. We would like to make some recordings later on that maybe he can send to young people his age. He's tried to get some of his friends that he games with online into doTERRA. And I thought, Trey, you might not be able to get them. We're going to have to get their parents on. We'll make a plan of attack. We want to help a lot of people. All right. Trey, anything else you want to say? No?
Here's one, Dr. Lori. Can a person muscle test for adrenal fatigue?
Well, adrenal fatigue, most medical doctors don't even recognize it as a real thing. And in that book, Adrenaline Dominance, I really like the way he talked about it, because we talk about cortisol all the time. In my adrenal class, I talk about adrenaline as well. Like one of the reasons I don't drink coffee, if I drink a little bit of coffee, I'm up all night. Well, I have problems with adrenaline in my body. I have too much adrenaline. It actually stems from in utero. Towards the last trimester, my dad left my mom and was cheating on her, and my mom was suicidal the last trimester with me. So through different classes I've taken in muscle testing, we were able to figure out that. So we get that imprinting, we get that neurological wiring, we get that adrenal stress and hormones from our mom. So it's been pretty interesting having her here at the house and just helping her heal long term and so forth. So there are some tests that you can do and some saliva tests, but you can test different on day to day. One of the tests in the Adrenaline Dominance book that he likes the most is the early morning cortisol blood test. He said that's the true indicator of adrenal fatigue, but it really has more to do with having a problem with your adrenaline. So that book just fascinated me. Every once in a while I run across the book and I'll read it or listen to it like 10 times. So that is a very impressive book.
A question is, where can you find the recording from tonight? It will be on Discovery Centrals. Check somewhere later part of Friday, if not for sure Saturday. And if you clicked on the QR code and join the email, it will be sent to you via email as well. Let me see if there's any other questions in here. I am not seeing anyone. If someone wanted to raise their hand, if I missed something, I don't believe that I did. I'm going through all of this, and I'm not seeing that we have any more.
That sounds good. We've got a lot of savvy people out there that are using their oils and know this and probably have had some of their own experiences with just how it helps them emotionally and mentally.
Again, as Betty just put in there, the recording will be emailed to everyone on the email list. So again, please, she put it in there, join that bit.ly/email list DE for Discovery Centrals, or check Discovery Centrals within 48 hours. And I tell folks, look toward the latter part of Friday. It's generally out there.
And I have one.
Go ahead.
I have one question, Sandy. Did anybody on here learn one new thing? Because that's what Trey was after. He wanted to increase awareness for people.
Yes, and here's one. What did you use juniper berry for?
Well, juniper berry, I'm glad you asked me that question because I used it on my mom maybe 15 years ago. She was having some kidney issues. You just put it on your wrist and it goes right in the bloodstream. You can also drink it, incredible for kidneys. But what happened is my mom, throughout the years, has had moderate to severe what's called agoraphobia, where she's afraid to leave her house. And when we started using that juniper berry, she started wanting to drive uptown and come into doTERRA classes, and she'd speak up at a class. And I thought, what in the world's going on with her? Betty, that's when I discovered that emotional book. And right in there, it said helpful for fears and agoraphobia. So today I was thinking, oh, wow, well, Ryder has all these fears. He's probably got kidney problems from drinking all this soda. So that's how intuition works and experience and connecting the dots. So that's why I thought about using the juniper berry with Ryder.
Dr. Laurie, could histamine and adrenals be one class for you?
We probably would want to have a separate class on histamine because there's so much information on it.
Okay, good.
Be encouraged though in doTERRA, just like diffusing eucalyptus, taking the tri-E's, all of those are natural antihistamines. A lot of people have the MTHFR. You can get tested for that. Very important to know. A lot of people can improve those histamine levels just by going on a really true good B12. That's one of the things doctors will try. So yeah, but it's pretty interesting class, and it is adrenal related and stress related as well. So good, very good question.
I don't know if you can see at the end, there's all these people you asked if anybody learned, and there is a lot coming here. I love seeing, I think about adding Cobaiba to my next order. I can see how much oils help the spectrum. I learned about Madagascar and Shinrin-yoku. I learned about the body, mind, or the mind and felt emotions that were uplifting, and the books that you shared. So yes, I think people learned a lot, and I have a full page here, so it was great.
Very good.
Well, everyone, please unmute and show your full appreciation to Dr. Laurie for putting this together and working with Trey to make this all happen.
Thank you, Dr. Laurie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Laurie.
Thank you, Dr. Laurie and Trey. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Dr.
Thank
Laurie.
you.
Thank
you.
I've learned so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Laurie and Trey.
Thank you so
So
much.
wonderful to see all of you again.
Thank you. Please come back, Dr. Laurie. Please come
Yes,
back.
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, thank you, Superwoman. I still don't know how you do everything you do. It's like
A good testimony for doTERRA, right? There is not one day that goes by that I'm not using multiple doTERRA products. I tell you, sometimes it's like a little nut house, especially with little Journey. She is the craziest little girl. She was having a sword fight with Dan, and he didn't have a sword, and she's poking him, and it's a curtain rod with just a straight one. And she tells him, "You're the queen." And Dan goes, no, I'm not the queen. Boys are not queens. And Journey goes, Papa, honey, some boys are queens. So we just died laughing. We thought she's just so stinking funny about everything that comes out of her mouth. We could have a Journey, reality show.
She's
So
adorable.
to think that she was
You almost lost her.
on death's door and what she's like now is just incredible.
Unbelievable.
Boy, she remembers the ambulance. She remembers the doctors. She was so ticked off at Dan. She says, you let them put me in there. You let them take me and put me in there. And he's like, what? It was the MRI machine.
Oh.
So he had to say to her, honey, you had to have that test. I was right there. I was watching over you. I was there and got you out of there. And then you see your eyes go, ding, 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 ding. She goes, oh. And you brought me home to Grandma Honey. So just processing the trauma and the things. And I really think the oils are the counselor is shocked at her. She thinks some of it might be near-death experience. They just come back and they're different. But our counselor now is using more doTERRA and stuff, and we help her, and she's part of our family. And she really can't believe how good all of us are doing.
Somebody said, can you speak at convention? So many people need it. And that would be wonderful. Betty, get on that.
Sandy. All right. I'll give it a shot, right? Because it would be amazing. The message needs to be heard, like everything we talked about tonight. So many people are going through, so much with, just everything. The stroke, you mentioned tonight, the stroke that your mom had was triggered by AFib. We never talked about that since my mom had her stroke, because she only had her stroke like a year and a half ago, but she got COVID that triggered AFib that triggered the stroke.
Yeah.
even though she was on, her INR was so thin
Yeah.
because she was on warfarin at the time.
And
But-
nobody wants to dare touch the topic of how many people are injured because of the COVID vaccine. So I see quite a few clients with that, including one of my dear cousins that's in a wheelchair now, and she's only 17 years old. And because of the work I've done with her, they have actually admitted to that she's vaccine injured.
Wow.
About time.
All right. Thanks,
Well,
everybody.
thanks,